Hi, my name is Jennifer Howard, and today I am going to do a session about how to tell if you are Enneagram Type 2 or an Enneagram Type 6. We're just going to compare those together to see what those differences look like. I have got some notes that I'm going to be using today that I have on my computer that I've typed up and saved, so we're just kind of going to go off of those today, okay? I would say... Oh, actually, just in case you're wondering, I know that I did how to tell Enneagram Type 2 versus Enneagram Type 3. You may have noticed that there is no Enneagram Type 4 versus 2 or Enneagram Type 5 versus 2. Hold on, I'm going to readjust for just a second. Sorry, it's kind of like in a weird spot. All right, so you may have noticed that those are not there, and the reason that I haven't done those is because I don't really think that they're necessary. It should be pretty obvious if someone is either a 2 or a 4. It should also be pretty obvious if they are a 2 or a 5, especially a 2 or a 5. However, Enneagram Type 2 and Enneagram Type 6, those can look a lot alike. So I am going to go ahead and talk about some differences there. Why do those look a lot alike and how to tell them apart? Alright, rule number 1, the reason that they're going to look a whole lot alike is because they're both what are called dependent numbers, or compliant numbers is another way to say it. 2s and 6s, they both really want you to like them. But the reason that that's important to them is for two different reasons. For 2s, it's really not even so much about will you like me so much as it is will you want me. And so 2s want to be likable people because they believe that if they're likable, then you're going to want to have them around, right? 6s want you to like them so that... The only way that I can think to say it right now is so that you don't harm them, but that's really not even a better way to say it. 6s want to stay in your good graces because the belief system with the 6 is if you like them, you'll help them, and if you like them, you won't do things that could harm them, could cause problems for them. In other words, I'll give you a practical example from my own life. I'm a 6. My underlying thought at all times, regardless of whether or not I'm consciously thinking it and regardless of whether or not I want to admit that this is how I feel, my underlying thought at all times is, I want you to like me because if you, okay, so if I'm at work, I want you to like me because if you are a coworker that I work with and you like me, then I can express myself or do things that I think I should be doing, and I don't feel like I have to worry about you going and turning me in as much. It's like, you really like me, so I don't think you would, tell on me if I changed things up a little bit, or if I did something that I wanted to do, or if I express myself in a way that I think may be considered inappropriate here. So 2s and 6s are both kind of doing this thing where we're kind of trying to be really, really likable at all times so that we get what we want from you. It's very manipulative either way. Whether you're a 6 or a 2, it's a form of manipulation, but it's common for both. And because of this, 2s and 6s can look a lot alike. And I'm going to put you on hold for just a second because this is really not working in this spot. So we need to move. I thought I would try something different, and it's negatory. Let's try this. My usual spot. It's better. Let me pull all this crap out from under it. Okay. Much better. Okay. So that's why they look a lot alike. But again, we're just looking for two different things. 2s just want you to love them and to want them, and so they figure if they're a really likable person, then you're going to want to have them around. They get to have that relationship with you if you like them. 6s are looking for security. They want you to like them so that you either protect them or at the very least don't pose as a threat. Does that make sense? So those are some differences. I have a point on here, but I'm not sure how well I can describe this. See, another reason that 6s and 2s can look a lot alike is because even though 6s are not what is called on the Enneagram the giver or the helper like type 2, 6s can be oh, it's a word. 6s are pretty giving people, but they're not giving for the sake of giving. 6s are complying with what they think that you want from them because, again, they're hoping that you will think that they're likable people. In other words, I do this all the time. This is a sign of having very poor boundaries. It's something that I constantly have to monitor in my own life. If you're a 2 or a 6, this is something that you are also going to have to constantly monitor. This is almost like a day-to-day continual battle for me, okay? I am okay saying no. I think it's probably a little easier for 6s to say no than for 2s, at least in terms of giving, especially if it's, well, anything, really. So, you could go to a 6 and you could say, I'm in a really tight jam. I need somebody to come and, babysit my kids on this day. Could you come and do it? I'm sorry, I know it's a short notice. A 2 is more likely to say, yes, I'll do it, don't worry about it. As a 6, I'm more likely to say no if I can't do it, but when people ask things of me, I try really hard to find excuses as to why I should do it. And the reason for that is because I want them to like me. Because I either A, want them to protect me, or I, at the very least, just don't want them to cause problems for me. Does that make sense? That's not healthy. But because of that, I am willing to give certain aspects of my resources, time, money, energy, even teaching. I have a lot of people that come to me and say, can you, teach me this and teach me this and teach me this? And I love to do that, and there's a time and a place for that, but I'm not always available for that. So that's just an example. That's another way that they can look a lot alike. So, 2s and 6s, they're both very friendly. They're both very loving. They care a whole lot about other people. 6s genuinely do care about other people like 2s do. 6s are very team-oriented in their thought processes. 2s think about other people all of the time, regardless of whether or not they could be thought of as a collective or a team. If you are just another person, 2s, they have you in mind. 6s think of other people, but we think of them in terms of teams, and we think of them especially in terms of teams that we are a part of. What that means is, it's not that I don't care about other people in the world, but I've got this team of people that I'm involved in right here, and because my well-being depends on the well-being of this team of people right here, I'm going to be really, really invested in this team of people right here, because if I invest in them, ultimately what I'm doing is I'm investing in myself. For 6s, it's the whole there's safety in numbers mentality, okay? 2s don't think that way because it's not really a security issue for them. For 2s, it's you're this human being and you want something from me and I can make you happy, and if I do that, maybe you'll want me around and maybe you'll have an intimate relationship with me and I can get the connection and the validation that I'm looking for. Does that make sense? So they look very similar on the outside, but all of this is for very 2 different reasons. So I'm just trying to help you separate those external behaviors, okay? 2s and 6s are often really, really friendly, really chill, really laid back. For 6s, that won't be the case if they're, anxious about something, of course, but that's a large component of who they are. It's also true, by the way, for Enneagram Type 9 as well. So for this reason, 2s, 6s, and 9s kind of look a lot alike, just in how friendly, agreeable, really chill, laid back they tend to be. Again, there are exceptions to that for Type 6 in terms of anxiety. We'll do some other videos later comparing Type 9, with 2 and 6, but that's down the road. Today we're just doing the 2 and the 6. But, so they're very playful. They love to just have fun with the people that mean a lot to them. It's really important for them to be connected in that way to the people that mean a lot to them. Again, different reasons. 2s want the connection for the sake of the connection. 6s want the connection for the sake of the security that it could provide. Okay? This one is a really tricky, nuanced kind of a thing. I'm trying to find some really good language for it. Twos tend to be more sure of themselves than sixes are. Sixes are always questioning themselves. Do I really know what I think I know? Was that really the right decision to make? Those sorts of things. It's especially bad if you question a six. I know for me, I'm already questioning myself most of the time anyway. When other people question me, it's so simple. You know, I can make a statement. I used to be this way about teaching the Enneagram when I first started. You know, I would do like I'm doing right now, only just with people. And I would, you know, teach however many people I was teaching, and I would say, you know, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And then one person in the back would be, well, how do you know? As soon as they would say, how do I know? I instantly question everything I said, because then I'm like, well, they're right. How do I know? And I guess what's worse for me is because I'm an INFJ, I'm also an intuitive type. And when you lead with introverted intuition, a lot of times you don't know how you know. You just know. I don't have facts to back up most of the stuff I say. I just kind of have these intuitions based on observations and experiences, and so I'm able to have a very small piece of information and I can paint a whole picture with it. But if you ask me how I got from A to B, I don't know how to tell you that. And so when you have people that need to have that information in order to feel like they can trust it, like sensing type sixes, for example, ST6s, ISTJ, ESTJ, ISTP, ESTP, they're going to have a really hard time taking some of the information that I'm giving them if I can't answer the question, how do I know? That makes them extremely suspicious of me as a credible source. Does that make sense? So there's always this level of uncertainty with sixes. It's exacerbated when other people ask questions, when other people challenge how you know what you know, how did you do what you do, are you sure that you did that right, are you sure you can make it on time, things like that. Twos, I think, this is my perspective, if you're a two and you're watching this and I say something here in the next few minutes that you don't think is true for you, I would love it if you would kind of put your experience in the comment, because I always love to hear things from, you know, the horse's mouth, that kind of a thing. I would say that even though on the surface twos can seem insecure sometimes and they can see unsure of themselves, I don't necessarily think they're unsure of themselves. I think they're unsure of whether or not you're going to want them or whether or not you're going to like them. So I think that they start to mold and change a little bit to adjust to what they think that you want from them, so that they can feel more certain that you are going to like them, you are going to want them, you're going to accept them and love them and desire them. It's pretty obvious, I think, on the surface that sixes question themselves. I'm pretty sure, even in the videos that I make, it's pretty obvious that I question myself. I'm pretty sure that's obvious. Even right now I'm doing it. I'm not even sure if you can tell. It's ridiculous. It's amazing how much our personality permeates every single thing that we do, and we don't even realize it. I mean, it's that ingrained. It's that ingrained. It's amazing. I would say that, but even then, I guess really we could say that if you're a two and you're not sure how you're going to be received or if people are going to like you, even then that could be a form of being uncertain of the self, because you're still adjusting yourself to fit what somebody else wants from you, and so that's still a form of insecurity. So I guess it would be fair to say that both twos and sixes are pretty insecure just in very different ways. Sixes are insecure mostly, I think, about what we know and our competency and our ability to save ourselves. We're also unsure of other people. We have trust issues there. I know I do. All sixes do, I think. Whether or not they're capable of acknowledging that is another matter, but Twos just don't have the same type of uncertainty, I guess is a better way to say it. Twos, guys, twos don't, if a two makes a statement, well, I know this, blah, 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 and you said to a two, really, how do you know? Are you sure you know? Yeah, I know. This is how I know. Yeah, so it's just two different things, okay? Two different types of insecurity. I guess sixes have more competency, insecurity, and twos have more relational insecurity, if that makes sense. Twos tend to prefer having that constant connection with people. Here's what I don't mean. I don't mean that twos enjoy suppressing their desires and their wants for the sake of someone else's happiness. You know, I think at the heart of everything, if twos were going to be really honest, I think they hate doing that. I think that they want what they want too. Their needs and their desires matter, and I think it's really hurtful to them that so many of us just take what we want, and you know, we spend so much time with them because we know if we're hanging out with them, we're going to get to do what we want to do because they're just going to go along with what we want to go along with because they want us to be happy. And I think that they may have some resentment there because they have things that they really want to do. They're just not voicing those opinions to you, okay? Sixes are much more independent underneath than they appear. I mean, I can speak about this just from personal experience. On the surface, I seem very dependent on my connections with other people, but ultimately, what I would love to do is get to a place where I have enough confidence in myself, and really it comes down to having enough confidence in God as a provider and a protector for me to step out away from the team, away from my safety net, and pursue what I want to pursue and make the statements that I feel need to be made. I don't need to have these connections with other people. In fact, I very much don't want to have to be dependent on anybody else for any reason. There is a very deep-rooted need for independence, I think, in sixes that's very difficult to see. And I don't want you to confuse this with what I just said about twos, because when I tell you that a two wants to do what they want to do, twos don't necessarily want to do that in an independent fashion. You know, twos don't want to go off by themselves and go see the movie they want to see by themselves. If I go to a movie theater with a bunch of people and they say, oh, well, I want to see this movie, if I'm in a really healthy place, and I'm not worried about what these people are going to think of me or if they want to be my friends anymore or whatever else, if they're going to be mad at me, I don't care. If I'm in a healthy place, I can say, all right, well, that's good. You guys go and see that. I want to see this over here. If someone wants to come with me, you can. If you don't, that's fine. I'm going to go by myself. Twos don't want to do that. They do not want to do that. Twos want to be able to say, you know, this is what I want to do. I know that's what you want to do, but this is what I want to do, and I want you to come with me. I want you to want to do it too, and I want you to come with me. That's what twos are hoping will happen. They may or may not instigate that. Most twos won't. That's a place that I think you come to after you've done a lot of growth and healing and work like that when you're a two. By the way, it's a place that you come to as a six after you've gone through a lot of healing and you've done a lot of personal growth as well. That's something that doesn't come, well, I take that back. It did not come as easily to me as it does now. I'm much more independent now than I ever used to be. I used to live in terror of telling people no. I'm in a place now where my rule of thumb is I try to tell people no very politely and very tactfully at first. If people keep pushing me, I'm going to have to start getting a little bit more firm. I never want to be rude, and I never want to disrespect anybody, because all people are created in the image of God. Therefore, all people have value, and I want to honor that value. That's in every person at all times. However, this is where 2s and 6s both get in a lot of trouble is, I think for us, we have to learn how to set boundaries but still be respectful. I did a whole spiel on this in a video that I did, which is Introduction to Enneagram Type 2, where I talk about the common boundary issues that the compliant numbers have. 2s and 6s are both compliant numbers. And even in that video, I mentioned this is also, problems that 6s have as well, but for different reasons. So I'm kind of touching a little bit more on that in today's video. That's an example. So the difference is, the point is the difference that I'm trying to point out to you is that 6s really are more independent at heart, I think, than 2s. 2s want to do what they want to do, but they want to do it in connection with someone else. 6s really, at the core of everything, they don't care if you're on board or not. They want to do their own thing, but because of that fear of losing that safety net and that approval, and because of the fear of being on the radar for daring to be different, 6s often comply. That's the point that I'm trying to get to. I talked about how both 2s and 6s are very manipulative with giving and being, likable, being the person that you want them to be. That's a manipulation for Type 2 and Type 6. Oh, here's a good point. This is something I'll bring up that's pretty different. Okay, so in response to things that don't go their way, in response to disappointments, for example. 2s minimize disappointments. 6s overreact to disappointments. This is a massive difference, okay? A 2's way of thinking is, oh, well, I guess this isn't really a big deal, or even if they're willing to acknowledge that it's a big deal, they minimize what it takes to fix the problem. I really want to give you a good example of this. Okay, I am going to give you a good example. I used to have a friend a long time ago. She and I, we just grew apart is all, but she struggled with her weight for a really long time. And she was a 2 on the Enneagram, and this was one of the things that she would always, when we would hang out, she would kind of lament about a lot is, oh, I look so ugly in this, and I'm so fat, and I'd like to go shop here at this store, but I'm scared their clothes aren't going to fit, and that kind of a thing, and so on and so forth. And she was always kind of doing these crash diets and these weird workout routines and all these different things and these supplements and stuff, diet pills, and she would always ask me, why can't I lose this weight? What do you think my problem is? And I would try to talk to her about the core issues and the underlying issues that come with a weight problem. You understand, when you have a weight problem, your first problem really isn't the weight. Your first problem is your perception of yourself as a fat person. You need to deal with that perception. As long as that's how you perceive yourself, that's where you're going to be at. That's it. I don't care what you do. Biology follows psychology, not the other way around. Okay? So I would try to tell her things like that, and she would get to places where she'd gain weight even though she was trying really hard to lose weight, and she couldn't figure out why that was happening. And the more I tried to talk to her about this idea of asking yourself, why do you see yourself as a fat person? Why does it bother you to be a fat person? What do you consider to be fat? How does being fat make you feel? What are those emotions? We need to get to a place where we're identifying this stuff first. And she, every time that I tried to bring it up to her, her response was always, no, it's nothing like that. I'm sure I just haven't found the right diet yet. I'll find the right diet. And every time she would find a diet pill that she, was supposed to help you lose weight, the hydroxycut or whatever it was, her response, her talk to me was always things like, I'm so excited about this diet pill, I'm going to try this pill and it's going to fix all my problems and then I'm not going to be fat anymore and it'll be great. So this is a really good example. I am telling you this because 2s, I think that 2s, they try first really hard not to acknowledge the problems because I don't think they want to feel bad. But I think that they can get to a place where they can acknowledge those problems. I've seen them do it time and time again. but they get to the place where they're finally able to acknowledge, okay, this is a situation and it's pretty bad. But when the solution means that they may have, it looks like it's going to be a painful solution, like this is going to be a lot of hard work. And I don't mean physical work. I mean when it looks like it's going to be emotionally difficult to heal. Suddenly, they've talked themselves into believing that this emotional wound that really needs to have surgery could be fixed with as much as a change of bandage. Does that make sense? I'm giving you analogies. I'm talking to you in symbolism right now. This is my INFJ speech, but I tell you this because sixes don't do this. That's how twos minimize, okay? Sixes overreact. So if I'm a 6 and I get on the scale and I've been struggling with my weight, and I get on the scale and I look and I'm like, oh my God, I've gained 10 pounds in 1 month. I freak out. How am I gaining 10 pounds in 1 month? I need to figure out what I did that caused me to gain 10 pounds. I thought I was exercising enough. I guess I need to reassess how I'm exercising. What am I eating? I better go, like right now, I'm going to go through all the food in the house and I'm going to start reading all the labels. Maybe I'm eating stuff with too much fat, too much sugar. Maybe I'm eating too much. I wonder how many calories I'm eating a day. I probably should start tracking my calories. So sixes take the response to whatever the problem is, and it's like they over-respond. Sixes just go way overboard, and it's overkill. And it's like, for a 6, if I were talking to someone like myself, with a 2, I have to kind of shake a 2 up a little bit. I have to say, this is going to require a lot of work. You're in a place that's not good right now, and you're not acknowledging it. You think that you're going to take, this new diet pill, and you're going to lose all this weight, and suddenly you'll have no problems with your self-image. That, it's not that simple. I have to make a 2 realize the severity of a situation. With 6s, I'm trying to bring them back off the edge. I'm trying to say, please calm down. Do not overreact to this. Let's take a deep breath, one thing at a time. And it's kind of interesting now that I'm in this place where I'm offering this to other 6s, because I very much used to live my life on a day-to-day basis where I was the person that would overreact to everything. I mean, I'm looking back on myself now, and I'm just feeling sorry for the people that had to, gosh, I feel sorry for my husband. I don't know, because by the time he and I got married, I had really started to hammer some of it out, but I just feel sorry for the people that have been just in an intimate relationship with me and had to put up with that, because now I'm seeing it in other 6s that aren't where I am today, and it's exhausting for me to be with them. It's like, I used to live with this all day, every day. I'm done. I don't ever want to deal with this again, so, and it's just interesting because it's like now I'm on the complete other side of that issue, and I never thought I would be there. You know what I mean? So, anyways, recap. 2s tend to minimize the severity of situations in order to help them cope with disappointments. 6s overreact to the severity of situations in order to help them cope with disappointments. 6s specifically are doing that to help them prepare. That if they overreact, then they think, what 6s think is, if I overreact, then I'm preparing, and if I'm preparing, then it can't hurt me. The whole thought process is wrong. And it's wasted energy. It's a form of bondage. It's not how, if you're a 6, that's not how you were created to live. You can get free from that. I know, because I did. Long journey. Very long journey, difficult journey. But you're capable of it. So, my recap for that point. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I've covered the points that I think are most important. As usual, you guys know the drill. Questions, comments, if you want me to elaborate on something, if you need me to sum something up, comments down below. Thanks.